Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. Today, my very special guest is former State Senator Seth Harp. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you. I'm glad to be with you, Gloria.
I tell you, you've had this awesome career. I learned that you were this wonderful Marine at one point. You were my state senator before the lines were redrawn. You're this awesome attorney and have done so many great things in our community. So I just want to welcome you today, and we're going to cover several conversations, things about the community, about your awesome career. But I first wanted to start, Senator, with thanking you for your work with my good friend and your friend, State Senator Ed Harbison. When you were serving at the State Senate, you assisted him with the John White Project, where John was wrongfully incarcerated, and you all went before the state and you supported with getting him some type of financial support for that wrongful incarceration. And so,
I was glad to do that. And when the system of justice has failed, and in John White's case they failed because they had an innocent man that had gone to jail, there needs to be some method of compensation for the time that the person spends in jail, and that's all it was. More and more we're finding in the legal system, DNA particular has reversed an awful lot of convictions. People that we're coming to realize that eyewitness testimony is not very good, but when you have real hardcore scientific evidence such as DNA testing, there are a lot of people that went to jail that didn't need to be in jail, that were wrongly accused of it, and John was one of them.
But you know, a lot of times people don't want to be involved. It's not my problem, I won't get involved, but I really have to just thank you publicly and commend you for stepping up and saying, yeah, well, if we made a mistake, we need to do what's right.
Well, I've tried that all my life. That's been kind of one of my philosophies, is that when I see something that's fine, I commend it, and when I see something that's not right, I'll be outspokenly critical of it.
Well, and that's as we should be. If it's right, we support it. If it's not so right, then we need to say that this is not right, and we need to do our part as people on this planet to make it right.
I don't know if Ed has told you this story, but it turned out we were sitting in the Senate together, and we were talking about war stories and about being in Vietnam. I think we both are pretty well convinced we were in the same unit in the same time in Vietnam together.
The Marines, the few and the proud. So that was one of those other common bonds you had.
He was a lance corporal, and I was a lieutenant. We had a little better facilities for the lieutenants than we did for the lance corporals.
Right.
But we started doing that. And did you know so-and-so? Yeah, I knew that. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
And then you have the privilege of working together. How many years in the Senate?
Oh, gosh, we did that for, I guess, the whole 10 years I was up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I really think you did an awesome job. And, of course, then you retired. And then, of course, our Senator Josh McCoon took the baton, and he's continuing to run with that.
I think he's doing a good job.
I think Josh is, too. I think he's awesome, a very good young talent, and we need more of those. Well, we got some things going on in the community. And, of course, I know with your brilliant law mind, you can help us sort through some of the things that we have going on. And, of course, one of the biggest conversations right now we have is about the lifting of the tax freeze.
That's correct.
I wanted you to come today and just share with our audience, so it won't be a Gloria Strode said, this will be a neutral opinion, and explain to people, I am, just for full disclosure, I am not for lifting the freeze. We have voted on that before, and the people have said we want to keep the freeze. So I would just like for you to share with us what the pros and the cons.
Gloria, the freeze was enacted, almost 30 years ago. And primarily it was enacted because of the fact that we had inflation that was going crazy. And people were finding that the tax assessor's office, which was very skillful in appraising your house upward in value.
Right.
And there were a lot of people on fixed income who just were being forced out of their homes by the fact that every year they'd have an increase in the appraisal and the taxes would go up. To understand this, the first thing you need to understand is how property taxes work. Property taxes are a function of two things. First is the value of your home.
Yes.
And the second thing is the millage rate. Columbus has pushed the millage rate to about the legal limit. They're very, very close, and they can't go up much more.
Right.
So the only other way to generate revenue would be if the value of the property went up. And what we were seeing is, and I think the best example of that is if you look at a true silver dollar.
Yes.
A true silver dollar in my childhood was worth $1.
Exactly.
If you go today to the U.S. Mint and buy a true silver dollar, it's about $30. It's over $30.
Right.
And what has happened is because of inflation. The home that you bought when you bought it, and you said planned your budget and everything else, you knew what thought you knew what your taxes were.
You thought you knew, right?
And then all of a sudden, when the inflation took off, and all these people were finding their homes the values were going up, and that millage rate was right there. And what they were seeing is these catastrophic increases in their taxes. Now, that time frame was particularly directed to veterans of World War II and veterans of Korea, because they didn't follow on like later on they changed the law that veterans, some of the benefits they got, they were pretty well on a fixed income.
Oh, absolutely.
And they were going to be forced out of their homes, and where they would go, gosh, I don't have any idea now. So the tax scheme came up with the idea. It was modeled after California. Ted Land was the senator who carried it. Gary Kaysen was the representative who carried the bill in the General Assembly. I wasn't up there, but I was one of the leaders of the thing.
Right.
And what we said was, why isn't it fair that if you purchase a home and you pay $100,000 for it, why does your home have to go up? When you haven't done a thing to your home, you haven't changed anything, your home is still worth $100,000.
And that's what you've made your budget around.
That's
and
right.
That's what you purchased.
That's what you
were
purchased.
not buying a bigger note.
Absolutely.
Well, what we're going to do, Senator, we're going to hold it right there. We're going to take a break, go to our sponsors, and we'll come right back.
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by Chalk by Quincy, introduces Excellence Redefined, timepieces of the finest technology, luxury, and class, with tons of style at chalklifestyle.com. Renal Associates, LLC, a team of physicians dedicated to excellent kidney care with 5 convenient locations to serve you. Stark Avenue, Columbus, Bradley Park, Columbus, Lafayette Parkway, LaGrange, East Burkhalter Avenue, Buena Vista, and Springs Street in Warm Springs.
History is important because it shows where you're coming from and where you're going. Type 2 diabetes is something that runs in my family, which means I'm at risk. In fact, 1 in 3 American adults are at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. And knowing this, if I do nothing, that family history becomes my family's future. And my family is too important to me for that. Take the risk factor assessment today at AskScreenNo.com.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Trust me, I'm a lawyer.
Trust me, I'm a car thief.
When it comes to insurance fraud, it's not always easy knowing who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. If you suspect insurance fraud, call 1-800-TEL-NICB.
We do it for the barn.
Hi, I'm Pastor Quinn, Senior Pastor of New Destiny Church.
And I'm Lady Denitra Hartnett, and we would like to invite you out to worship with us at New Destiny Church, where we do it for the vine.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing my conversation with our good friend, our former state senator, Seth Harp. And we were talking about when you and other community leaders went forward so we could have the tax freeze put in place.
That's correct.
Because we wanted to protect our veterans and those in our community that had purchased homes,
That's correct.
other members,
Yeah.
and bought a mortgage based on what they could afford, and they planned their future out properly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can give you one more example of how inflation works. I have a watch on my wrist that I bought the day my first daughter was born on February the 1st, 1975.
Okay.
I was a captain in the Marine Corps, and I was stationed in Roosevelt Roads, Puerto Rico. And I went over and bought this watch, and it's a nice Rolex watch, and it's a fine. I've kept the watch for all these 40 years.
Really?
Okay, same exact watch.
Right.
I paid $285 for it.
Really?
Okay.
So today, if you tried to buy that
If I tried to replace that watch, it'd be $3,500.
Wow.
It's exactly the same watch. Nothing has changed except the fact that inflation has made the value go up. Not because of the watch is any more valuable.
Right.
It's just the fact that the dollar is actually worth less.
Exactly.
Okay. So here we are. We're faced with this dilemma. What do we do about your home? You plan your budget and you buy your home. And this is something I have said to the mayor in some of the forums, and I disagree with her about. I think Columbus has a golden opportunity because if they advertise to veterans and other military families, come to Columbus and retire, and when you buy your dream home,
yes,
your taxes are not going to go up. Because I know I'm a veteran, and I have,
and so is my husband, right?
I have membership in all kinds of stuff, the VFW, the American Legion. And all those things, and I see that, and all these communities are advertising, come to our community, we have this, that, and the other. I haven't seen one of them that has picked up on the idea, if you move to our Columbus community, your taxes are not going to go up.
And you can retire here, and you'll know you'll be able to live within your budget, your taxes won't keep going up, and then you can't afford your house, because that's exactly what's going to happen once the freeze is lifted. I don't care how they spin it.
The thing that concerns me most is the mayor has taken off on this idea is she's going to create a two-tiered scheme that's going to be fair. And that's her big thing. Everybody, it's not fair. It's not fair to folks. The problem with that is that you can't do that by the Georgia Constitution. You can't have this two-tiered
taxing systems.
And Hardy Pollies, who was the former city attorney, wrote a wonderful memo, a legal brief that he has given to the city council and everything else, and it flat spells it out. There's no case law. There's nowhere any there. And what happens is, if we adopted that, the whole freeze would fall as being unconstitutional.
Exactly.
And we would be right back where we were before we adopted the freeze, and we would be sitting there with my home that today has X amount of value would jump to maybe fivefold the value of the home.
And then people will, if you can't pay your taxes, then you end up losing it. If
you lose your home, that's right.
If you don't pay your taxes, you can lose your home because you did not pay your taxes.
That's absolutely
And
correct.
I think people are not that informed. I don't want to say they're not educated, but a lot of times people don't read the fine print, or they don't ask the tough questions.
That's
right.
And I think the thing that just I heartily disagree with the mayor about it, because of the fact that she got the law firm in Atlanta, a very fine law firm, Trotman Sanders, to write this brief. And they wrote a brief, and they said, okay, we can do this and we can do that. But they never once addressed the fact that if you have a two-tier system, it is unconstitutional under Georgia law. And the second thing Mr. Hart Pollies did in his brief, which is a very well-written legal brief, he said that if you do that, she's tried to address that by saying there's a fallback.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, if we adopted what the mayor wanted and that fallback triggered, you can't do that either.
Right.
Because the Constitution has changed since when we passed the freeze, and now you cannot do what she is saying that she could do.
Okay, and tell me again who Mr. Pollies was.
Hardy Pollies was the city attorney. He was the city attorney from 1982 to 2001. He's a Harvard-educated lawyer. He outstanding, and he retired honorably from our city.
Okay.
And
so he has a working knowledge of all of this.
Did he ever?
Right.
Yeah, he was there when the freeze was created, and And now he's written this brief that he's given to city council and the mayor, saying to them, look, you're stepping into, you're really about to blow the whole thing apart.
Right. So he has recently provided that brief.
He sent me a copy of it August the 24th.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is the brief.
Yeah.
Okay, that Mr. Polly's, who was a city attorney.
Yeah.
Okay, that he has provided this to all of city council.
All of city council and the mayor.
And the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something that we certainly, I want to make sure they drop this in on the screen.
Sure.
Because sometimes people will listen to the talking points.
Right.
What really sounds good, you know, Coke is the best, you know what I'm saying? Lay's potato chips are the best. And they don't really look beyond what the advertising or, you know, those sound bites are. So I trust you because I know the quality of your work. But I just think it's important that our citizens understand that this is not a two-tier kind of thing. It can't be. You've already said it's unconstitutional.
That's correct.
It's not going to happen that way.
We don't have it now. We have a one-tier. We have a freeze that applies to every residential property in Muskogee County. And what she's talking about doing is that the people that move here would not be under the freeze, but the people that have the freeze would continue to have the freeze. Bingo. Two different competing groups.
Exactly. And then we have people that are going to the other side of the river, because there are some things in place there where we're not taxing some of the veterans' retirement, and people wonder why Fort Mitchell and all those places are growing so in so many houses, is because they have an incentive for people to come there, and we need to do likewise, and we depend so much on Fort Benning. I don't understand why people don't get that. That's our largest employer.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just makes, to me, it seems it's the real estate community that is coming out with the idea that this thing needs to be done away with, and I don't really understand that. I think they're not paying attention to the marketing opportunity they have of marketing Columbus and saying, you know, you come to Columbus and you retire, you buy your dream home, you're going to be there, and we're not going to tax you out of it.
Well, I know some people said to me, well, it's not fair that I pay $3,000 and my neighbor only pays $300. But my argument with that was, if the neighbor was paying property taxes for 50 years, probably before you were even adult and owned a house.
Yeah, that's true.
They've already paid their portion, you know, which was like with my father, who was 92. So those people from his era who bought those homes way back then, they were paying property taxes before we were grown, before we owned a house. And many of the folks that live in apartments, they don't pay. So they don't really understand what's going on there. But what we're going to do, Senator, we're going to take our final break, and then we're going to come back and continue the conversation.
Thank you, Gloria.
All right. We'll be right back afterward from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by Warrior Outreach. Contact Command Sergeant Major Retired Sam Rhodes or Kathy Rhodes. Freedom Printing for all of your designer printing needs. Gunboat Plaza, Suite 18.
Hi, I'm Michael DeQuier, band director here at Albany State University. As you may or may not know, our marching band has been invited to the 2016 Tournament of Roses Parade. And with me is the Tournament of Roses Parade president, Mr. Mike Matheson.
Michael, it's been great to meet the band and the community and to drum up the support that your band's going to need to come to Pasadena.
Thank you very much, Mike. Well, to get there, we need your help. And you can help by visiting our website or calling the ASU Foundation. We will be in Pasadena, California, January 2016. Thank you very much.
Walmart's reason for supporting Thurgood Marshall College Fund is simple. We like to win. And we have been given a lot of exposure to some incredible talent. And we also believe that it's a part of our responsibility to the community to give back. This is a great opportunity to do both. It's been a wonderful experience for us through the years. We've appreciated our partnership. We believe in return on investment, and we have definitely had a remarkable return.
I'm Drew Brees, and being a dad means the world to me. And one of the most important things any parent can do is make sure their kids get active at least 60 minutes each day. Studies show that physical activity not only helps kids stay healthy, it can enhance important skills like concentration and problem solving, which can improve academic performance. This means physical activity can help your kids in the most important game of all, life.
Columbus's first New York-style buffalo wings restaurant. American Deli is not only known for the best buffalo wings in the area, they're also known for their fresh deli ingredients. Now you can enjoy the best New York-style buffalo wings in 2 locations. American Deli at 2004 Auburn Avenue, Columbus, Georgia, and American Wings and Deli at 2061 Highway 280 in Phoenix City. We're open Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday from noon to 8 p.m. American Deli, the best buffalo wings around.
Welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing my conversation with our good friend, our former state representative, Seth Harp. All right, Senator, you have really provided us some great information today. And we were saying when we went to the break that we're almost at the top. The state has set a ceiling on the millage.
That's correct.
So we're just about a hair from that. To remove the freeze is not going to be good for this community. No. And I think some of our other leaders might not be familiar with why. I think they're probably listening to the sound bites. I don't think they've read Mr. Polly's brief. We are going to show that on the screen, and certainly I will be willing to share that with anyone, with your permission.
Sure, absolutely.
That would like to see that.
Right.
Right. And so where should we be going from here? Because this is not something that's good for the community.
I think the thing that distresses me, having served in the Senate for 10 years and having been involved in politics for, I guess, the better part of my adult life, is there's a real cop-out that elected officials can do. Mm-hmm. And that is, instead of taking a stand and looking at somebody in the eye and saying that's wrong and I'm not going to vote for it, they say, well, let's let the people vote for it.
Right. They straddle the fence.
Let's straddle the fence. We need to hear from the people. Well, they know in their hearts that that's not right. But when they go to that game, they're playing a game with you. I saw it in the Senate. I mean, you know, and I was very outspoken a lot of times in the Senate.
Well, that will make you unpopular. Ask me, but that's okay. You got to stand for something.
I think the thing that I'm saying is a message. Everyone ought to be talking to the city council person and saying, have you studied this? You really haven't. And what they're talking about, oh, it's unfair. No, it's not unfair. It's the same thing with your dad, whose house he's been in his house for 30-something
40,
years.
50, 60 years. Yeah, no, you were paying before other people were paying.
Yeah,
it's like being in the military. If you are an officer and I'm a first-day private, I can't expect to have all the rights and privileges. You have to earn that.
That's correct. And I value the fact that we have in our community so many wonderful things. But the thing we've got to do is we've got to figure out how to pay for them.
Exactly.
We built all this infrastructure, and there's so many wonderful things. And I'm serious. I will not criticize any of the things that have been done because the people wanted it. But what they didn't do is when they built them, they didn't
plan for how to pay for it. Exactly.
Exactly. You can't build a swimming pool. I can tell you, I don't have a swimming pool.
I don't either because it's a lot of maintenance.
It is a lot of maintenance. And when you build a pool complex like over there, you're going to have a lot of money that's going to have to be paid to maintain the thing.
Exactly.
And that's true of every single functioning part of government that is like that. Baseball fields. Very expensive.
Yeah.
Golf courses.
Yeah, golf courses, skating rinks.
Yeah, skating rink.
You got to pay the energy bills, and you got to have someone that knows how to maintain those things. But then it's not fair, in my opinion, to ask those people that have been paying into the system, and they've owned their home, and yes, they might be paying less. I'm probably paying less than some of the other people in my subdivision, but if I've been there 20 years, then good for me, because I was paying when they were not there.
That's correct.
You know, and we shouldn't be penalizing people for that, you know. I mean,
and what her system does, what really concerns me most of all is this fact of creating this two-tier system and having this thing explode and we don't have any freeze at all.
Right, and people don't know that can happen because there's so much lawyer speak
that
people are it's being spent a certain way that they don't really get it. So
I
clearly you have said, Senator, that the Constitution does not allow, the Georgia Constitution does not allow for us to have a two-taxing system.
Two classes of the same, within the same class.
All right.
You can't have the new homeowners paying on one thing and the old homeowner has the freeze. Either everybody has the freeze or nobody has the freeze.
Okay. So that's clear.
And that's as clear as Mr. Polly's, who is an outstanding attorney, has said it. There is no case in Georgia, he could find nothing that would suggest that it would in any way, shape, or form would allow that to happen.
Okay.
They're setting up a perfect storm of a legal constitutional challenge to the whole process.
And then we won't have anything.
Man, we wouldn't
and then
have
in the absence of anything, people can just do whatever they want to do.
No, they won't do whatever they want to do. The tax assessor will do what he has
exactly
to do.
what I'm
and
saying.
And your houses are all
your prices will go up.
Your $285 watch is going to be at $3,500.
Exactly. And so we don't need that.
No.
Well, I want to thank you. You've had a great career as a Marine, and you have some special honor. I didn't realize that. That was another thing you and the Senator Ed Harbison had in common, was that few and the proud, the Marines.
Yeah.
But you were a Royal?
I had the honor of serving with the Royal Marine Corps down in Puerto Rico, and they made me an honorary Royal Marine.
Oh,
and I have
that's
the
good.
crest and all the rigmarole that goes with that stuff. And I made them honorary American Marines.
Okay. So you all kind of had that network going. And so now you're presently, I know you have had this wonderful law career as well, but you are counsel with...
Of counsel
with
the firm of Harp, Porter, Chef, Post, and Sauer.
All right.
Which means when they need me to give my sage old man's advice, they'll call on me.
They need your seasoned advice.
Okay.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time today, and certainly I will be calling on you.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll get a lot of feedback, and I hope that our leaders will take your advice as well as Mr. Polly's advice and go and study, do their own research, and understand what it is that's on the table before they make a big mistake.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much, Senator, and for being a great senator when you were my senator, and just continue to fight for the citizens in this community.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank
My
you so
pleasure
much.
to be with you.
Thank
I'll be
you
glad
so
to come see you if you want me back.
I will certainly have you back. That's a promise. All right. Thank you. This has been Straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.